Hi, I'm Annemarie with Speak Confident English, and welcome to this week's Confident English Spotlight interview. For the month of June, I'm interviewing Yulia, who you'll find much more about in just a few moments. But just as a reminder, if you're joining me for the very first time, every month in 2018, I'm interviewing a woman in the Speak Confident English community. And I'm interviewing women all around the world who have successful careers, who have done interesting work or traveled the world. They're doing volunteer work. They're making the world a better place. And of course, they have overcome great challenges in English and worked really hard to become more fluent and more confident. So this month, I'm very excited to interview Yulia. Yulia is one of my longest community members. Last month in May, I interviewed Olga, who is also a long-term community member, but Yulia and I have worked together a lot over the last 3 years, maybe, I think. It's been several years that we've worked together, and we got to meet each other about 2 years ago in Paris, which was awesome. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But Yulia, to get started, let's start with something simple. Can you tell us where you're from and something unique about your city?
Hi, I'm Yulia. I live in St. Petersburg, Russia, and now we have a great time in our city, white nights. Sun is always on the top, only a bit dark in the night time, and normally people come here for look at this white nights, for bridges, for Hermitage, for museums. And in this year, people come also because we have a world championship, soccer world championship, and we have maybe seven plays here, 7 matches, and we have a new arena, and I hope we will survive because a lot of people, a lot of tourists, and they're getting nice, and I hope next week we will start, and not only in St. Petersburg, also in Moscow, in Kazan, in Rostov, other cities, and I hope everything will be okay.
So Yulia, one of the reasons I'm really excited to interview you is I think you have a fascinating professional background and some very diverse parts of your professional background, but I want to start with the first one, the most important one, which is you are a scientific journalist. What does that mean?
I think all of you know what journalists do. Talk with other people and then write something or make some interviews like we now. And normally I meet with scientists. I ask them about their work, about the articles, and then I write about it for people who not so good in science. So I'm like a translator a bit. From very hard scientific language to easier.
For people like me.
And I was a scientist many years ago, and now I'm back to science, but in other way.
What do you think? You've been very successful in your career and you've had a lot of different opportunities. What do you think has helped you be successful?
I really don't know. And since I was a kid, I was a very curious person. I like to know something and new places, new food, new language, new books, new people, and I always go out of my comfort zone.
I love that expression. Mhm.
And I think it's, if you don't want to stay in your room,
Mhm.
you always can find some ways for your career, for get something new, for,
Mhm.
I think this one.
Yeah. Curiosity, huh?
Yeah, curiosity, yeah.
Love it. Good. And what would you say is your greatest accomplishment so far in your professional life?
Uh, it's a hard question, really. And I was thinking about it. Uh, I really don't know. I met a lot of very interesting people, scientists, Nobelists. Uh, I have some prizes for my journalist work.
Mhm.
I have a few books, but I really don't, I'm not sure I can say, yes, this prize is my biggest, it's my Oscar. It's
Yeah.
enough. I think, I hope I'm still on my way,
Yeah.
maybe to something big.
Yeah.
And I enjoy this process. I
Yeah.
enjoy it.
That's great. I think that might also be part of the secret to your success is you love it so much. You really enjoy it. And I think that helps,
Yeah.
definitely. So one of the other things that's very interesting about you is you've also written and published some children's stories. What inspired you
Yeah.
to write children's books?
Mm. It also was a big step out of my comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
when my editor asked me if I want to try to write something for kids.
Mm-hmm.
I had never done it before, and I have now my own kids, and I have no idea how to talk with kids about some nature, about how different animals eat or sleep, or how our air's organized. But I remember me when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
when I was a little curious girl, and I write for me many, many years ago.
I love that. I love that. So you had a specific idea in mind of who you were writing to.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not easy because a lot of information, and I always ask scientists about some details
Mm-hmm.
because I write about nature,
Mm-hmm.
about animals, climate, or else, or what I know really. And but anyway, I need extra information,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not so easy.
Yeah.
Even for a little book, you must read a lot.
I'm sure. I'm sure. It must take so much time to take all that information, think about the most important details, and then write it for a 5-year-old child. It's
Yeah, yeah, and you should use a special language, very easy but correct, because I always think about, for example, if some scientist has a son or daughter and want to read this book for them and find a huge mistake in his fields. Oh my.
I imagine. So you have to be so careful. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
easy but very careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned earlier, you've been a part of the Speak Confident English community for a long time, and we've gotten to work together quite a bit. We met when I was living in Paris. You were visiting Paris for the climate change conference in 20,
Yeah.
was it 2015, 16?
15, 15.
15, so a few
Yeah.
years ago now. So I've had this opportunity to watch you and your English change over the last several years, but I'm curious for you, what has helped you overcome fears or challenges, difficulties that you've had in English? What has helped you to be where you are today, which is much more successful and confident and fluent in your English?
First of all, I had a great teacher. It's you.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for your time, for your lessons. It was very great when we had lessons more often and met each other more often via Skype or by emails.
Yeah.
And I had the motivation. I was needing English for my work, for travel, for communication. Always some extra exercises to read something, to find a new information in internet, to watch something, to talk with people if I had a chance. And now I learn German. It's also a big challenge for me. And I try to do the same.
Yeah.
I try to do much more than I have in my homework. Always find the new books, a new exercise, and I try to talk when I have a chance. And I think it's the only way if you want to achieve something in language or in something else. Do more than you need.
Right.
Do more than people wait from you.
Right. I like that. And I think observing you, so you've definitely had the motivation and you have always gone above and beyond what was expected. But I think maybe another secret that you have is you do the work consistently. I mean, watching you over a period of time, you went above and beyond. You did more than it was expected, but you did something all the time, every day. You always found something. So it was part of your daily life. And I think that's part of your personality, but I know other things that you've done. I remember other challenges you've done that are not related to language, but again, you committed every day and you did do that extra work all the time.
Yeah.
So that's part of your secret. Good. So I have just one last question for you today. Many other people in the Confident English community will be watching this interview. Some of them might be feeling really discouraged about English. They might think that they just aren't good at learning a language. They might watch you and think, why can't I do that? How can I do that? And they might have the motivation, but they don't know what to do. What would you say? What's your advice to someone who's feeling really discouraged or frustrated?
I think that every people can find their own motivation. Because now English is an international language, and if you want to go to any other country with English, it's much easier than without. And when you know any other language, you can get much more information in any field. For your work, for travel, for anything. So to find a motivation, I think it's easier. And if you find it, and if people who watch it in community, they already find a very good teacher, it's true. So they need only a bit time and a bit patience.
Right.
And no fear.
That's true.
Even if you use not very good word, if you mix it time, if you forget something, it's mustn't stop you. And now in German I use it, even if I have no words and forget something.
Good.
If people want to understand you, want to communicate with you, you can use, I know, justice or write something or draw something.
Right. That's true. You can use facial expressions, body language, everything to help you communicate. Yeah.
Yeah. No fear. It's
Yeah.
just a language.
I think one of the things you said that I really liked is you have to be patient with yourself. And I think for most people, overcoming fear is a process. It takes time. Was that true for you, or was it easy to stop feeling fear?
Yes, it was not easy, but I remember how I made my first video for you. Just a very first video for, I don't remember, maybe for introduce myself or something else. Just a few minutes, but I had, I don't know, 20, 30 times because it was, where is my word? I don't remember something. I say, but when I did it first time and second and third, it was easier and easier and easier. And I think it's really very good exercise.
Yeah, good, good.
Spend your time for it. Yes, the first time will be terrible, absolutely. But you will see it getting easier and easier.
Yeah, and it really is effective. It helps you overcome those fears. It teaches your brain how to think in English and communicate in English so that you can speak more easily. Absolutely. So it has a lot of benefits to it.
Yes, and you can hear you, and you can imagine how other people see you and hear you, if it's understandable.
Yeah, and then you can change it. If you don't like something, you change it, and that's what's great about it. Yeah,
and I'm sure it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. I think that's great advice. So get your motivation, give yourself time, be patient, and don't have fear. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's great. Well, Yulia, thank you so much for interviewing with me today. I know it takes a lot of courage to do that, and I appreciate your time and your courage and chatting with me today. So have a fantastic day, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much.